Hey you guys, it's me at the Monson Schoolhouse, and before I start in on this video, I need to first tell you thank you so much for all of your messages, for your comments. I am completely blown away by the response and just blessed. As I was reading your guys' messages, I would read them at night. I'm still reading through them, and I plan to answer every single one of your emails to me. But I want to let you know that as I was reading every single one of your messages, the Spirit just enveloped me. And no matter your background, your faith, I really felt a confirmation of each of you guys being an elect lady, being born again in Christ. That was very strong to me. And I have so many things that I want to tell you of what the Lord told me about you, but how privileged I am to be among you. I pray every day that I can be one of God's elect, and just being among you, among the women that He's raising up, is so glorious to behold. I'm blown away. Very, very, very blessed that I'm able to be in contact with all of you. So I'm still going through all of your emails. I intently give each of your messages my time. I read them. I'm touched. And I'm going to be answering back to all of your guys' messages. So give me a little bit of time. But how awesome to have a place where we can all come together and share and just have a place that's full of positivity and unity. And that is so needed in our day. So that being said, I'm going to dive into what my video is today and what my blog post is today. It's all about how we are preparing for the Bicentennial Conference. Those of you who are not of my faith, it has been 200 years since Joseph Smith, the first prophet of the restoration of the latter days, since the heavens have opened up to Joseph Smith as he knelt down as a 14-year-old boy and asked God what the true gospel was, if there was one on earth. And it was at that moment when Heavenly Father and Jesus Christ appeared to Joseph Smith and revealed to him that it was time for the restored gospel to be placed upon the earth and for the latter days to roll forward. And we are living in those days. I am just so excited. When the prophet asked us to immerse ourselves in the study of the restored gospel, you guys know me. I got so excited and I immediately started thinking big. Like, this is going to happen. Like, we are going to immerse ourselves. Gathering things. To my husband, I went, you know what? I think that we should do a tour of all of the church sites, of the restoring of the gospel, and tour the East Coast and the Midwest of America, and get an RV. And I want to be in the sacred grove while watching conference in April. In December, I just started getting really overwhelmed with all of this, big planning and all of that. Are we going to be really prepared to receive all that we need to receive? And the Spirit sweetly, in my panic and my overwhelmed anxiety, came in and rested upon me and told me that the Lord has been preparing our family for years now, and that the Lord never intends us to go through a crash study course or to hurry and get ready. And it didn't matter if I didn't need to take my kids to Palmyra. I didn't need to, although it would have been wonderful. The heavens can open up to us just as much as we are, whether we're beside our bed praying and studying the scriptures or whether we're in a grove of trees. It's all the same. And that was such a beautiful word spoken to me through the Spirit, and it just put me in rest and peace. And so moving forward, it allowed me to, instead of jumping off the gun, making my own grand plans, to really go back and seek the Spirit and seek what the Lord wanted us to do. How beautiful of a confirmation it was that because we've been following the promptings of the Spirit day by day, year by year, and that's why we're here, that we are spiritually ready. We just needed to follow the prophet. and immerse ourselves in the restoration, whatever that meant. Like he said, design our own plan. So I'm going to share with you guys what the Spirit and the Lord designed for our family. I have come to know through close friends that the Lord has designed totally different plans for all of us. And it's awesome. It just shows me how personal, how real our Heavenly Father is. And if you're seeking Him, He's going to show you the plan for you and your family. And it might look totally different from what we're doing. Right now, I just wanted to share with you guys what we are doing. So number one, the coming forth of America, the coming forth of the Constitution. Elder Uchtdorf several years ago gave this talk that said it was about sleeping through the restoration. And it was based on a book. But I read this book. I read it after he said it, and you guys have to read this book. It's amazing. It's a quick read. It's a short story. But essentially, it was about a man sleeping. He fell asleep in the hills, and he woke up, and he realized that he had missed the entire Revolutionary War. He slept through the whole thing. And Elder Uchtdorf likened that to us sleeping through the restoration. It was so powerful and so incredible. I suggest you guys read that book while you are doing your restoration study. To teach our Revolutionary War and Constitution, I used The Good and the Beautiful, surprise, surprise. I used The Good and the Beautiful History 1, Year 1, and Unit 3. Now, for those of you who are new to maybe this homeschool thing, this is a homeschool curriculum, but it can also be a curriculum you can use if you're not homeschooling. And I think every parent, every family should be using this curriculum, even if you're not homeschooling. The Good and the Beautiful, just as a disclaimer, is not affiliated with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This history curriculum does not teach the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints restoration in it, okay? So I simply used this to teach the history, Revolutionary War. So I have the pile of books here that I have on my website for the Revolutionary War, and I have them in the same order. For our read aloud, we read The Winter at Valley Forge. I got this book. I think it's out of print. Bindings all falling apart. It's so great. It's by F. Van Wyck Mason. As I was reading this, I got the strong impression for me and my family that I needed to teach about Zion's Camp. Okay, and I'll talk about this when I talk about the restoration books we're using. But I really felt, okay, I was like, there's a parallel there that the Lord wants to teach us. All right, so I put Zion's Camp in my head, and I was like, all right, I need to teach about Zion's Camp. So it was kind of revealed to me through reading this. Okay, this is the miracles of the Lord. I just was looking on Amazon, and I'm like, I really want some kind of a picture book, something incredible. And so I immediately was drawn to the Scarlet Stockings Spy, okay? It teaches how to live truths and honor them, and how to stand for truth, and how to be a warrior. The pictures were just absolutely beautiful, and look at this. I think I started crying at this moment. It really, really touched me. It actually taught underlying messages of being a truth seeker, standing for truth, standing for your beliefs, and fighting for a cause, and how to fight for that cause. And you can fight for the cause of Christ within your own home. This kind of like sewed our entire unit together into beauty. After that, it opened up the next phase of our restoration study, and from there I was like, okay, Heavenly Father, what do you want me to do from here? And then it was like, dive in. I always find it helpful when I dive into a unit to have some kind of a main outline that I can pull from. You can find that on my blog. I have my stack of books for the restoration right here that I'm going to be showing you guys. Okay, so obviously the bottom is the Book of Mormon. We're studying the Book of Mormon this year for our Come Follow Me for our church. We study it every day. So I put it on the bottom because it's kind of like our foundation of our school and of our home. So, and it definitely is a huge part of the restoration. This is a perfect book to read aloud to little tinies or even my teens have read through this really quickly. Excellent book. Really, really great. Now, I found this book, I Saw the Lord by Carrie Mulstein. I saw this at Deseret Book, and this book, all the 9 accounts are combined. All the original accounts are actually found in the back. Excellent book, just tiny, simple. I have each of my kids read through this as we study his first vision and all the accounts of that. And I wanted to show the kids how accounts can, a memory of something, your perspective, and how you tell it can change. So I got this idea, this impression, to, before I start going into this with the kids this week, to have them, to show them like a painting, to have music playing, all the senses going, you know, just have this experience and have them experience something for about 5 minutes, okay, be in this experience. Then have them journal with a date, have them journal what they experienced. And then what I'm going to do is in a couple days say, okay, kids, I want you to open your journal and write about the experience on Monday. And then the next week, have them go, okay, kids, I want you to journal about the experience you had a week ago. And then journal about the experience you had, that one experience that you had 4 weeks ago. And as they do these different accounts of that one experience, in the end, I want them to compile them and look through them and see how they explained things differently, how maybe they remembered something new that they hadn't remembered before, or they forgot something that they'd remembered a week ago, and compare those and relate that to why these 9 accounts, or why these different accounts of his first vision have differences, and some are missing other things, some are adding other things. Because I think when people are talking about Joseph Smith and those that maybe don't have a testimony of the first vision yet, there's often attacks with that. And it's only in human nature that we forget things or that we remember things. So I really wanted them to see that principle through their own experience. So that's something I'm going to be doing with them in our study. Okay, They Knew the Prophet by Hiram L. Andrus and Helen May Andrus. Read this at lunchtime when I do my read alouds, and I'll just open it up and read an account of it, and they love it, partly because I do accents. I'll like add southern accents onto people. I don't know if they have the southern accent, but I do. You know, there's some court scenes in here where Joseph Smith was tried in court, so I'm like, was it true that blah, blah, blah? This has been really fun for us at lunch, partly because I'm a weirdo and I add a little bit of drama to it. I'm sure you guys have all seen this, Saints, the Standard Truth. We are using volume 1. I'll just turn on the audio while we're doing our art projects, and that's another thing I wanted to share, but not yet. What you don't know about the most important events of church history. I love this book. It's not one I'm going to be reading cover to cover. There's a lot of these books I don't read cover to cover. I'll leave them out, and I let the kids thumb through them. This is one of those books where they can thumb through on reading time or whatever. It'll give dates of the events. So this is really good for me to kind of follow when we're doing a timeline. We're doing a timeline of world history, and then on the next page, we're doing church history. And that way we can see how they combine, how they parallel each other, how they foreshadow each other. It's been a really incredible opportunity to make those timelines. So this is going to help us in the timelines. I talked about Zion's camp. Okay, you guys, this is really incredible. It's amazing how the Lord guides what we want, what we need to study. So I told you when I was reading Winter at Valley Forge, I got this impression. You need to relate that to Zion's camp in your restoration study and with the parallels and everything. So I was reading through here, and guess what? Joseph Holbrook, it was part of Zion's camp, and that is my husband's ancestor. So it's my children's blood relative was in Zion's camp. How amazing is that the Lord wanted us to study our ancestors and have them learn about him and his trials and how that relates to them. So I just thought that was really incredible. I am reading this cover to cover. It's an incredible book. I'm learning so much about Zion's camp that I never knew, and I'm learning how many parallels there are to so many other things in history, how God takes a people or he calls a person to the work. and he tries them and he tests them and he requires us to all make a sacrifice. What sacrifices are we making in our part in the restoration, in our part in preparing for Christ to come? We all are required to make sacrifices. In October, General Conference, our prophet had asked us to study Emma in D&C, and also I just felt moved to study more women in the restoration. So upon that, I got this book, Beloved Emma, okay, author Woodland, Stories of Lucy Mack Smith. I really enjoyed this. Mackenzie did too. It was absolutely incredible. It's not that hard of reading, so I'm sure even an upper grade schooler could read this on their own, or you could read it out loud to your daughters. Loved it. This filled me with such a spirit, and it allowed the Spirit to speak through what I was reading and kind of coach me and teach me about what my part in the restoration is. So this is Eliza, The Life and Faith of Eliza R. Snow. This book is beautiful. Okay, so it has beautiful pictures in it. It's a very good read. It has all of her poetry. It's so just gorgeous. I loved her poems so much in this book that I went and got a poetry book from Eliza R. Snow. Now this poetry book I got was used and it's falling apart, but that's okay. The binding is completely a disaster. But that's all right. It's a full book of her poetry, and it actually inspired me to do a poetry unit with my kids. So we are going to be doing a poetry unit focused on the restoration, where they can write poems or hymns of their testimonies and things that they learned through the restoration. These women, the women of the infancy, of the beginning, of the birth of the restoration, we are as those women. Another thing that I was inspired to do was to give the kids an art project. This is Drew's. He has completely been just immersed in it. He loves it. He wants to do it all day. It's not done yet. This is the forest, the sacred grove, and his sister is helping him and kind of coaching him on how to paint. And it's just been incredible watching him light up and be excited about the restoration. He's 7. He gets baptized when he's 8 years old in the summer, and I can just see his spirit glowing, and he's loving everything we're doing. I'm going to have them put together kind of a project with a timeline of, like I said, the world history and restoration history, with a paper on a person they want to write about. They could write about Joseph Smith, they could write about Eliza R. Snow, they could write about Sidney Rigdon, anyone that they are drawn to. I want them to seek information and write about that person, or that event. So one last thing, I just want to share that this is only the beginning of our studies. Of course, you guys know that the Spirit either tells us to pause on something, or tells us to go forward, or we're over here and the Spirit wants us to go over there. So things could change from here, but that's kind of where the Spirit has led us. I've also been really impressed to take my 3 older children to the temple at least twice a month, or as often as I possibly can. So we did. We went to the temple last week. It was an incredible experience with them. And I could just see the glow in their faces. So we are going to be continuing on really temple attendance and family history work. The restoration is still happening. It's here, you guys. The time is now to prepare our hearts, to prepare our children. And when we miss that preparation, we're not going to be ready, and we're going to miss what's happening. Lucy Mack Smith, as Joseph Smith's mother, was prepared. She'd been preparing her whole life. And when that stuff came forth, she was ready, and she was ready to be an instrument to the Lord in the restoration. We need to be like her. She was solid, you guys. And from what I get, she had a bit of a fire to her, and I love it. And these women, the books of the women, just filled me with fire, and so much was being taught to me. So much was being revealed to me about my purpose, my mission, and what I know is there is so much to come, and we need to be ready. We need to be prepared. We need to leave the world, just like our prophet is asking us to do, and we need to be sanctified, because it is those that are sanctified that can do the work for the Lord, that he will move them and he will use them. And I don't want to be looked over. I don't want to be missed. I don't want my kids to be looked over. I don't want them to miss it. We need to not be sleeping through the restoration. It's happening right now, and we haven't even seen the beginning. Like, I just keep getting this huge impression that us women are like the women who were in the restoration's infancy. We have the choice to be like them. We can stand and we can be stalwart and fearless and be this instrument in the Lord's hands. And we can be elect and we can be distinct and we can be different and we can shine. And he will allow us to do things that are more incredible than what were done in the pioneer times, that are more magnificent than we've seen in our lifetimes. So I know the Lord designs all of our plans uniquely and different. And so if you want to go to my blog post, I will put the link to my blog down below. And I would love for you guys to comment and share the plan that the Lord has inspired you guys and your families to do. And I am sure through those comments, other people will get inspired and you will inspire me. And I am just grateful that I am able to be a part of this work, a part of God's elect women, who is you. You are his elect. And for those of you who are not of my faith, just know that when I got your messages, I felt an abundant spirit. You are part of the Lord's work. He is moving you in his work. And please keep commenting. Please keep, I will get back to all of your messages very, very shortly. I love you so much. I'm so grateful to be here with you. Bye, guys.